Hi, I'm Gracie and this is Scott with Small Worlds, Big Adventures, building community through gaming. And today we're going to talk about and review the game, My Father's Work.
My Father's Work is a worker placement game with a horror science fiction theme to it. You essentially play a mad scientist a la Frankenstein trying to design and build horrible creations. The game plays over a period of about 3 hours, sometimes longer. It's for 2 to 4 players. You can generally get it online for $125. It's got a long setup and teardown time, but at least our version comes with trays that help set up fairly quickly.
And that is a thing to note. We kickstarted our version of the game, so what we have in here might be a little different than what you buy on Amazon or at your local game shop, but the overall gameplay should be the same. So for ratings, starting with player agency, I thought this was really good. You have kind of what is your focus of your experiments and achieving your father's work. But then there's also a narrative story that goes along with it. And regardless of what's happening, you have a lot of control over what actions you take and where you decide to invest your energy.
Yeah, I rated player agency good for this game as well. The actions of the other players don't have a lot of impact on what you will or won't do on your turn. There are some minor interactions there, but nothing generally that will stop you from carrying out whatever plan that you want to make from turn to turn. You have a lot of ability to alter that plan as you move throughout the different generations of the game. So what you might start thinking that you're going to do, you could end up doing something entirely different.
100%. The mechanics of the game I also think are good. As mentioned, it's worker placement, but the way the game is designed, it definitely plays into the concept of scientific inquiry.
Yeah, I also rated the mechanics as good. Almost everything you do does a really great job of tying into a next step in either an experiment or, again, there's a story behind what's going on, could tie into that. As far as worker placement game goes, there's some fun little hitches to that, but they're hitches that you can work around and work with that make the mechanics really satisfying.
When it comes to components, which again we have the Kickstarter one, but our components are amazing, so good. They're solid plastic figures, there's metal coins, little wood tokens, really nice both board game and book. So good for me.
Yeah, I rated components good. If we had an excellent scale on our
we do not.
ratings, I would rate it that again. The Kickstarter version, I have looked at what the non-Kickstarter versions are, and they still look good, but ours is definitely
a notch above.
A notch above. Everything is just done really well.
Really, really well. The theme is carried out so well throughout the whole thing. From the way the box is designed and the cards and the gameplay, it really ties into this mad scientist theme. So I think the theme is good. Yeah,
I also rate the theme good. Honestly, of games that I've played, and certainly that we own, top 5 and almost fights for number 1. There are few games I think that the theme just plays out kind of from beginning to end as well as it does in My Father's Work.
Yeah, for sure. And then overall enjoyability, good. It's one of his favorite games. It's one of my favorite games. For it being a 3-hour game, it goes by so quick. You're engaged with it the whole time. So really enjoyable, good enjoyability for me.
Yeah, I also rate it good for enjoyability. Like a lot of worker placement games, the actual gameplay flows real fast because you place a guy, you get whatever that guy does, and then the next person's moving on. They tend to be really quick. The only time where you're not doing something is usually when the game is letting out story bits, but those tend to be interesting and flow pretty well. It's an enjoyable game.
Absolutely. As far as final thoughts go, I like this game. I like it a lot. Some of the reasons I like it, we're going to kick it off with diversity. Not a lot of games address inclusion and diversity like this one does. You get to pick your models for your characters, and they can be whatever you want. You could be a girl, and your spouse could be a girl. Your caretaker could be a proper lady, while you, the mad scientist, could be a hunched over cretin.
Yeah.
So that aspect of playing out different dynamics within your estate, I think, is really, really solid. Another thing I just really enjoy about it is the story and how much it changes. You kind of have 3 boxes of like unique stories, but there's some stories we played 3 to 5 times, and we get different endings each time. We played one recently, and we found out it was like one of 8 endings you could get. Mm-hmm. So like that diversity of narrative means that you're not going to get tired of that part of the game. And then we already talked about it, but the theming is just so strong and it plays out so well. You definitely kind of feel like you're in a, lightning flashing science fiction story. So yeah.
Yeah, my final thoughts. I agree. The theme is just done so well, including how the mechanics work with how the game plays out. Just makes it feel like you're a mad scientist trying to, at the beginning of the generations, create some small experiments that build up to larger ones that build up to perhaps finally finishing your father's work. The game on its own, if that was all the game was, would be a good worker placement game, one that we would certainly go back to. Wouldn't be perhaps at that point one of my favorite games, but would be good. But with the 3 different campaigns, adding a story that plays out differently each time, just adds a whole nother level to the game, and again plays back into the theme of being a mad scientist, but also kind of what's going on in the world around you, and then you have to make additional choices on top of whether or not you're working solely for the scientific aspect of creating these things, or do you get involved in what's going on in the village around you and kind of the larger world at large. The game itself, especially as a worker placement game, flows so well that I don't think we've had a game come in under 3 hours and still have enjoyed every game that we've played.
Yeah. As a bonus thing that I forgot to mention, the app. The app is so good.
You do need an app essentially in order to play the campaigns that kind of guide you through what's going on and what you need out of the individual campaign boxes to add to the game, and tells you what the story is.
But the app is very well crafted. Even its like theming matches the box and all that. Parts of the narrative are read to you, and they're in very like time specific accents and all of that. About my only complaint about the game is there are words when you're going through the story I trip over and mispronounce because they are not very common.
The app, by the way, you can get on phone, you can get it on a tablet, you can even get it on your computer, I believe. We definitely suggest a tablet. Seems to work best for us playing anyways. The
text size is bigger, it's easier to hand around. It also has like creepy science fiction sounds to play in the background for you. What other games, if they like those games, they would like these games?
Similar-ish games, Lords of Waterdeep. They're both worker placement games. In a similar way, they're both starting from a foundation to build up to kind of your end game play, trying to track down victory points. Seven Wonders, definitely a different genre of game, but in the same way that Seven Wonders also builds off of a foundation at the beginning from something small to something big, this definitely does that. You need to do the smaller experiments to do middle-sized experiments to do the larger experiments. And then kind of different from both those games, but then having the campaign storyline going along with that. They're also, if you don't invest in that early, and then continue to invest in it, then you probably don't get the rewards that might come down the line.
Yeah. So all in all, great game. Recommend it to everybody.
This may be my number one game going right now. Theming wise, kind of talking about similar games, the current version of Arkham Horror is definitely up there with this. We recently played The Thing, and theming wise, I was impressed with that one too. As far as the way mechanics and theme work together to create a narrative whole, this one, honestly, it stands up there rivaling any of the best that we've played.
100%. If you too want to be a mad scientist and create experiments and agree with our review, go ahead and hit that like button. If you want to see more about gameplay, we did a walkthrough last week that we'll link somewhere. And go ahead and hit subscribe because we will be doing more of these. And we would love to know what your favorite worker placement game is. So just put it in the comments and we'll watch out for them and talk to you guys about those games.
Or your favorite themed game. Also, don't forget to hit that notification bell.
Bye, guys.
Bye.